Greetings, YouTube. Today I'm going to talk about microaggression. I found this really wonderful list on a blog today, and the person was actually responding to a question that had been posed to them. And the question was from Anonymous. It said, what are some common microaggressions that a Black American will regularly have to deal with? And a microaggression is a very small aggressive act, a word, a phrase, a gesture. Not major aggressions, but like raindrops upon a mountain, they will wear you down. They will eat away at you. They will undermine your personhood. So, what are some of the microaggressions that Black Americans can put up with? Actually, these probably would count anywhere in Western culture. And I'm just picking Black today because this is the list I happen to come upon. There are microaggressions against numerous other varieties of minority groups, and of course against women, which are not a minority group, regardless of what conservative politicians in America will tell you. So general microaggressions. People excusing blackface, having our grammar and enunciation corrected. I don't see you as a black person, I don't see color. Calling black people ghetto, thugs, ratchet, sassy, urban. Never heard ratchet before. People debating why they should be allowed to say the N-word, then saying the N-word anyway. Whispering, spitting, or stumbling over the word black as if it's a curse. And look, for example, look in the Oxford English Dictionary under the word black and see what you get, and then look up white and see what you get. Refusing to pronounce your name right, or just calling you by a different name, that's easier. I've encountered that both towards Black people in America and towards Hispanic people in America, and Asian people for that matter. Alternatively, jokingly calling you ghetto, calling you a ghetto name. So they are giving you a nickname that you did not ask for that has a particular type of ethnic or racial stereotype. Constantly mixing up unrelated and not even resembling black people because you know black people all look the same. Dismissing our experiences as just overreacting, defending the wronging party, or using our plight to talk about one's own experiences, i.e., well, as a gay man, I've got it rough, yada yada yada. Telling racist jokes and calling you sensitive when you don't find it funny. Blank is the new civil rights movement. Black folks are still fighting for their rights. So, in things in the media, jokingly, the person listed Fox News, though it's appropriate. Caricatured depictions of black people on TV, casting calls for black people only tailored for quote-unquote race roles, media treating white criminals and killers better than black victims, and there's a link to some headlines. I'll be putting a link to this so that you can follow these other subsequent links if you so choose. Stereotypes, assuming you only listen to rap, hip-hop, R&B, assuming you love chicken, Kool-Aid, and or smoke weed. The Kool-Aid thing I didn't know about. I always associate Kool-Aid with very, very white Americans. Assuming you're good at sports. I've seen black friends have to deal with that. Assuming there's no father in the picture in black families. I've seen people make that assumption. Assuming all black people see young girls have children. I've seen that. Calling black people who don't conform to one's image of blackness less black, acting white, or Oreo. Then there's an AAVE, which I can't remember what that acronym stands for, and I apologize. Non-black people imitating AAVE, people falling into AAVE when talking to black people. African American verbal or vernacular, something like that. Why don't black people speak real English instead of Ebonics? Yeah, there you go. Because you know there's never been a white person that used slang or cultural references that are used predominantly among white people. Insults and doubting intelligence. You're so articulate. You take advanced classes? How did you get into that prestigious school or program? They only got X because they're black / affirmative action. Assuming a black person, usually male, attends college because of a sports scholarship. Counselors discouraging black students to take prestigious courses, assuming it's too difficult for them. Respectability politics. You are a credit to your race. That's really old school. Unfortunately, I've never actually heard it, but I know people who have experienced it. I'm glad you're not like those other black people. You're not ghetto or listen to that rap stuff. Tone policing. Dismissing someone's reaction argument because they are too emotional, thinking that we need to be calm in order to be taken seriously. There are times when anger is the appropriate response. And if someone's being racist or trying to step on your civil liberties, those are appropriate times to be angry. Pitting African immigrants against African Americans, especially those coming to America for education, aka quote-unquote good blacks. Beauty standards and dating. You're pretty for a black girl. You're pretty. Are you mixed? I don't usually date aren't attracted to black people. Calling attraction to black people jungle fever. I believe it exists, but that one still stuns me. Fetishizing or othering. People asking you what you are or where you're really from. Referring to black people or our features as exotic animals are exotic, people are not. Referring to black people's skin as chocolate or other foods. That's twisted. Black women and or misogynoir. Wow, that's a good one. Saying black women are strong, independent, and don't need no man. Oh, wow. Calling black women sassy or angry if she shows passion, emotion. Referring to white and non-black women as girls and women while calling black women females. I found this interesting because I often use the terms male and female, but when I'm referring to the biological sex of a person. But it's not black people. Everyone, if I'm referring to the biological sex of a person, I will often use male and female, whereas if I'm referring to their gender identity, I will use man or woman. It's been something I've done for a long time. It used to drive my mother nuts when I referred to people as male and female. White males who apply courtesy to white women holding doors, getting up for seating and such, but don't apply the same to black women. Referring to black women on government assistance as welfare queens while ignoring that white people get more government assistance than black people in the USA. Interesting aside, in the 1930s when the welfare programs were begun, they were begun specifically so that white mothers could stay home and take care of their children rather than have to get a job outside the home. No one batted an eye for 30 years until non-white women began to apply for welfare, and suddenly it was all about welfare queens. In America, you can't swing a stick without hitting racism. Black women, blocked out, all women are beautiful. So people making references to treating the black women as objectifications. Hair, people touching, petting your hair without consent. So is that your real hair or are those extensions? Calling natural black hair unprofessional. So if a person decides just to let their hair be natural, somehow that's unprofessional, whereas a white person can be allowed to have their hair naturally. White people appropriating black hairstyles, dreads, twists, etc., and being praised as edgy while it's ghetto, unprofessional, and unclean when it's on black heads. Poverty assumptions. Do you live in the ghetto? Can you afford that? Here are the value prices of this product. Racial profiling plus criminalization. Crossing the street to avoid passing black men/people. Following in stores, assuming black people are stealing. There was actually a code phrase at the Filings store in Bedford, New Hampshire. I know someone who worked there, and it was like Mr. Johnson to the front desk or something, which was code for there's now a black person in the store. I crap you not. That was in the 1980s, folks. Moving aside when we pass, clutching purses, locking doors, asking black people for ID when paying with a card while white people are not asked, being pulled over and arrested at astonishingly high rates while white people are not, and then there's a link to these incidents may appear small. Again, the whole nature of microaggressions. Now, as far as the arresting thing, one of the things I think that's important to remember is, as far as drug use is concerned, black people in America and white people in America use drugs at the same rates. And yet, black people are far more likely to be arrested for drug charges. There's a reason for that, folks, because the policies are inherently racist. They always have been, they always will be. Marijuana was originally made illegal by using the argument that black men on marijuana would then rape white women, and that white women on marijuana would allow themselves to have sex with black men. Cocaine was the same thing. That black men on cocaine would rape women, white women. Remember, at one time in America, both cocaine and marijuana were legal, and these racist methods were used to convince the general public that they should be made illegal. It was disgusting and horrible then, and it's disgusting and horrible now how our drug laws are adversely affecting the black community more than any others. Of course, we could solve this problem by decriminalizing everything and legalizing marijuana. That's another argument. So this has been some examples of what it is for black Americans to experience microaggressions. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because a lot of my subscribers get news information from me, which is a little weird, but it's true. I have a number of international people who are subscribed to my channel because apparently they like the way I speak and they find it interesting and to help them understand the English language, which I don't get. I don't think I have a particularly great voice. I had someone the other day tell me my voice is smooth. I thank them, though I was a bit bewildered. And the scary thing is that there will be people who will listen to me because I'm white, discussing the plight of black people in America. And yet they haven't been listening to the black people complaining about this for decades and centuries. Which is sad. But if it can get the signal out there, if it can boost the signal even a little, even to one additional person who finally gets that little in their head and goes, I get it now, that's worth it. Even if it had to be delivered by a really white guy. So tell me, anyone out there who's a person of color, have you experienced these types of microaggression? What have been your experiences? Anyone out there else, everybody, have you witnessed these things? Have you experienced them secondhand? I'd be interested in knowing. And for anyone out there who hasn't been aware of what a microaggression is, has any of this come as a shock to you? Is this surprising to you? Have you found this to be revolutionary ideas to your life experience? I'd like to know. Let's have a conversation.